I grew up such a fan of sports memorabilia and sports cards, and I'm really excited that this show is both going to highlight that as well as the awesome entrepreneurs that make it all possible. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Talking Shop. Today we have another very, very special guest, Dan Fleischmann, a man who is definitely my favorite entrepreneur that I've met in a very, very long time. My friend, how are you?
Happy to be here.
Man, we have a lot to get into. Although I do want to get into a little bit of your background to give some context to anybody who might not yet be put onto the legend of Dan Fleischmann. You've been an entrepreneur since you were a kid. Your parents, to my understanding, owned 3 Levi's stores. Is that true?
Yeah.
How did you first get into the entrepreneurial mindset, the entrepreneurial space? What were your first endeavors?
Sure. So from 4 years old to 8 years old, every weekend, my parents had a van full of Levi's jeans, and they would park their van at a swap meet. And then that van became our booth for their jeans. And so they set up tables of jeans at the swap meet. And right next to it, little 4-year-old Dan had a little table for baseball cards. And so I didn't do any other cards, or just baseball. I would walk around. There was other baseball cards booths at the swap meet, and I knew Mike and John and Robert. And I'd go to their little booths. I was 5 years old, 6 years old, doing trades, and I had my $20 and my $8, my $5, my 20, and I built up this little collection from 4 years old to 8 years old, just buying and selling cards every weekend on the swap meet. And then for 30 years, I didn't do any sports cards. And so we'll go into the story later, I'm sure, but basically a year and a half ago or so, Gary Vee asked me to come to the national convention, and then we can go into that story later. But that's kind of the background of I first got into sports cards was from 4 years old to 8 years old. I did do when I was in high school and middle school. I played Magic the Gathering, and I was really intense into that. I won the national championship at the comic convention in San Diego.
What? I didn't know that.
Then I stopped playing. And then the very next year, I won the Pogs national championship. I stopped playing. Then Blockbuster Video had the Sega Genesis National Championship. I won that, stopped playing. And so I was very, very super nerd, 12, 13, 14, 15. I had to become the best at something. I would lock myself in the room to become the best at it. And then as soon as it was over, as soon as I won, I went on to the next thing. And
You're like the Michael Jordan of these old trading card games.
I was obsessed. I mean, I never missed. I was at the comic convention every year, and I was just hustling nonstop. I had a tragic situation where I had won that POG National Championship. I had 30 or 40 grand worth of Magic the Gathering cards in my backpack and in boxes. And this guy, Jimmy, who used to drive, he drove me there. He was the 40-year-old dude from the comic book shop. And so he was the driver. I was only 15 at the time. I didn't have a car. So we went to the convention together, and on Sunday, the final day of the show, I had all my cards. I traded and bought all weekend long, life-changing amount of money in my backpack. And he was like, hey, I'm going to go to get the car. Why don't you wait out here? And so I gave him all my stuff to hold. And as he was walking, I was like, why did he need to take it with him? Because I'm here. I could just hold it. It's easier for him to walk without it. So he walked over to get the car, and it's been 25 years. I'm still waiting for him to show back up because he left town. And he never went back to the comic book shop. I never heard from him again. And he took my entire collection. And so, Jimmy, if you're out there.
You know what's so crazy about that? The relationship with you over those years would be far more valuable than the cards that he stole from you.
Yeah. It hurt. I'm still sad thinking about it.
Yeah, that's insane. But obviously, since then, you've amassed quite the collection, whether it be personally or for the shop. So I do want to dive into some of the card story, especially since you mentioned it earlier. You go to the national a year and a half ago because Gary Vee tells you to.
Yeah.
What was your experience like there? Were you in shock? Did you not get it yet? What was that like?
So I saw him posting about cards a lot. And then when he said to come to Chicago, I said, okay, I'll just go for the day. I figured I'd go for a few hours. I love sports cards, but I hadn't done it in decades. And when I got there and I went to his booth, it was, I don't know, it's something became inside of me. I was just so watching his face light up in excitement, watching Gary negotiate for a $150 card that he already had sold somewhere else for $190. and like watching the process. It took like an hour, and him running back and forth between the booths. He buys it for 150, goes and sells it for 190, makes $40. The guy's got 1,000 employees and like $1 billion brand and company and 100 investments. Like he's worth infinite. Who knows what he, right? His passion for that hour to make $40, it would have bigger than his investments in Uber, Twitter, anything. Like that was his thing, right? Like, and so I bought some cars, but I had 10K with me. I didn't go there planning to like make it rain. I didn't know what I was in for. I did buy some cars. I got a couple of Michael Jordan, the 86 Fleer cards. He actually sold me a couple of his because he had a bunch there. I bought the LeBron James, the number 111, like the main 2003 card. I was excited about that, but I didn't even know how excited I was till like a month or two later when the card I paid $2,500 for was $4,000. A car I paid $1,000 for was $3,000. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And that's when the addiction came in. Like we started that group chat with everybody from the national. We had that group chat and we just like all started buying 5 figures and 6 figures and 7 figures of cars. We just all got addicted and into it. And the snowball turned into an avalanche from there.
And you're a smart business guy. Obviously, you've been in the game for a while now. You're familiar with the stock market. You're familiar with other markets. What to you right off the bat separated the sports card market from other, investment, classes?
Sure. The main thing was supply and demand. And this one has an emotional attachment. So there's great investments that I've loved, Shopify and Square and all these, companies that I've invested, Netflix and Amazon, Google. Like there's traditional big companies you can invest in. And there's like your shot at glory, like Shopify, Square. I invested big in Zoom when COVID hit. There's obvious companies that are going to go up because of that hype, but there's no emotional attachment to that. Once I made my investment, I don't carry my Zoom stock with me, right? I don't tell everybody I meet about my Zoom stock. But you and I our eyes can go wide talking about LeBron James cards and Michael Jordan cards and Luka Doncic, right? And so I saw the supply and demand and the emotion and the gambling aspect to the sports card industry. And certain cards to me are artwork. Kobe Bryant is artwork. Michael Jordan is artwork. LeBron James is artwork. Like their rookie cards, their main cards, that's artwork. And I believe that as people buy artwork, they don't sell it. So as all these new people are going to come into space, if my friend jumps in and buys 3 LeBron James and 3 Michael Jordans and 3 Kobe's, those are going into his safe or his garage or under his bed. He's not out there flipping. That's just another guy that wanted to buy artwork. And as those go away, there's a very finite amount of inventory when it comes to the artwork. And so I look at it as that. If I can buy certain cards that matter, I don't buy every card. Like Gary's got zillions of dollars of all sorts of cards, all sorts of sports, from wrestling to everything you can imagine. I don't. I'm an investor. If I like Luka, I've got 300 Lukas. If I like Zion, I've got 260 Zions. Kevin Durant rookie card, I bought 77, right? I want to buy as much as I can of that card like my stock. And so I look at the investment different, is that there's emotion to it, there's supply and demand to it, and I have fun with it. Like I enjoy it. And if I lost on something or gained on something, there's like the art of being right. Like when you're talking with your buddies, right? Like I think Kendrick Nunn is going to be a star. My group chats are ripping me to shreds. You bring up Kendrick Nunn to Gary Vee and all these guys, they laugh at me. I'm the laughing stock of the group chat because I bought $50,000 of Kendrick Nunn's when they were $20 and $40. Like
Kendrick Nunn is your angel investment.
Yeah, that's my shot at glory. It might not happen for years, and I might be totally wrong, but it's so fun that I like that they're talking crap to me. If I'm right, I hit it big. If I'm wrong, it's not like it goes down from 16 to 4, right? It goes from 16 to 11 or 12 or 15. It's not going to go to 0. There's always going to be some type of value to it. But if I'm right, the kid actually wins an MVP or the kid wins a championship. Like he was in Miami in the finals. Like I was theoretically right, and then he didn't play. So it's like the fun emotion to that. I don't have that when it comes to stocks and Bitcoin and gold. And those are fun investments too, but they don't have that same feeling.
Right. You have a lot less to lose. Also, a reason why I love you, that Zoom subtle flex you slid in there at the beginning of that was very clean. I will give you credit, my friend. Um, and that's a great call, by the way, too.
I texted like 40 people and I posted publicly at 103. I said, Zoom is going to be the thing. The post is still up. At 103, I told everybody you got to buy Zoom. And normally I don't do that. I talk about stocks once every year or two because I don't want to give investment advice. That wasn't investment advice. Zoom is going to win, right? Like that was just reality was setting in.
Oh, man. And here we are talking shop on Zoom. So the coffee breakers, how did that come about? Obviously Cards and Coffee, your shop in LA. I went on the very first day. That was so exciting. I bought PSA 9 Trae Young, a 10 Zion. What else did I get? I got something else. I think another Trae maybe, but that's besides the point. Your shop, congratulations. Where did that idea come from? And I know you're partnered with a few of the people that you mentioned earlier.
Sure. So I realized at some point my wife was like, wow, you've got like $500,000 of sports cards sitting on the floor. We need to get a safe. So I didn't even think about it. Like I was just buying, I was in a whirlwind, and months of group chat of just like buying on eBay and buying from Jason Coons and buying from this guy and this broker and this dealer. I drove to like 30 different stores and flew all over the West Coast, all these different stores. Any city I went to, I'd go from St. Louis to Texas. I was always going to stores. I was just buying, and just buying at scale. And I had no intention, 0% intention to open a sports card shop or live breaking. Not at all. And then in the summer, Gary was talking about the idea of how the sports card shops, there's somebody that could come out with something new and cool and fun. And he was joking about Cards and Coffee, and he joked about like making something fun. And so the chat was joking about it, like, yeah, we should all do it together and blah, blah, blah. And then it fizzled out, just like lots of ideas do. You know, people talk about fun stuff and then it fizzles out. And then I had $1 million in cards, and then 1.5. And my wife's like, okay, this is silly. Like you have all these cards. What's your point here? Are you just going to put it away into a safety deposit box, or what's going to happen? And then the chat talked about the sports card stuff again. I was like, you know what, guys, I'm going to open a shop. And everybody got super excited, like, oh my God, really? And I went and got a lease, and it was actually going to be at the W Hotel. I was going to open my acai bowl restaurant next door. We have 31 of these acai bowl locations. That was going to be one of the locations. The W Hotel took too long, and it was like 2 months. And like, you know, when I get excited, I want to do it right away. Like, let's go. I got the cards. I know who I'm going to hire. I know what to do. Let's go. I want to open the shop. And the W just kept taking too long. It wasn't W, their corporate, it was their leasing agent.
It was that tiny little spot in the back where they used to have all the artwork, right?
So it's actually the spot by the valet out front.
Got it.
So I'm still opening my acai bowl place. It opens in January. Like I still got the lease there for the acai bowl place.
Sick.
But next door to it's not a sports card shop, because instead, DJ Ski, he's like, hey, I've got 25,000 square feet at Dash Radio. I'm 2 blocks from the W. I'm right on Hollywood Boulevard. We're closed due to COVID. So if you want the whole front glass space, my podcast building will stay the same, and you can take over the front space and make it to your retail shop. I was like, well, that's amazing. Sure. And so I tell the W, sorry, not sorry. It's been too long. I wanted to go here, but it's been months. And I ended up getting this amazing situation with DJ Ski. And right behind the sports card shop was another big room that he used to do filming. This is big. It's 3 stories, 25,000 square feet. Nobody needs that much space, right? He has plenty of room for Dash Radio. And so the room behind the store is a full-fledged filming and live breaking and shipping department. So I've got 18 full-time employees now, which is crazy.
18 people already?
Yes. We're only 6 weeks in. And so every card shop I go to has 1 to 3 employees. All the live breakers are like 3 employees. Unless you're like Probstein, there's very few people that have a bunch of employees, and even Probstein I think has 15 to 20. So for us to have 18, I'm doing that setting up for next year, right? I'm spending a ton of 6 figures of overhead a month to like build this operation to prepare for 2021 and get my shipping and everything in order. But then basically to reverse a little bit. So when Ski offered that setup, I decided I was going to ask Steve Aoki, because he was buying a ton of sports cards, getting super excited, really integrating into the space. And one night he actually asked me. And so it became this thing, like I wanted to ask him to dance. He wanted to ask me to dance, like a high school prom. Like, and then he was like, hey, I'll be a part of the sports car shop with you. Because he just loves sports cars and we've been so close for so many years. And so it became a natural fit that Aoki and Ski became the co-founders with me. I put in a collection. It's a total of $1.9 million of my personal collection. And then Ski and Aoki contribute cards into their own dedicated cases. And then other guys from different group chats send us in cards on consignment. That's kind of the base of how it started.
Oh, it's amazing. And I love that you have your own shipping department, because as we both know, that is the biggest problem right now with breaking. It's that you see your card broken live on Instagram Live or YouTube or wherever, and then you don't see the dang thing for 2 months. And I love that you're putting that as a priority, and it's going to show when, obviously, I mean, you know better than I do, but that's how you'll be able to scale. It's exciting.
We want people, listen, it's expensive to have a full-fledged shipping department. There's 3 people, that's all they do. And we ship out the same day or next day. So like we're ripping, it's going into the shipping department and it's out. Like we are getting the product out to the people because for lots of reasons. One, we would want that for ourselves. Like you said, like when Buster goes to a break, he wants his cards soon because it's exciting, it's fun. But 2, we know we're gonna get reorders if we ship to you right away. Right? If we give you a good experience, you have fun on the break, and then your cards show up in a few days, how could you want to go to someone else that's going to take weeks or months to ship to you? And so we're not even doing it to compete or fight against them. Is I want everyone to level up. I want all the breakers to level up and realize, yes, it would be a little bit more cost for you to have someone dedicated to shipping or do it yourself, but the return on that investment is infinite. Because if you keep Buster happy, he's going to keep breaking with you every night or every week. But once he's unhappy with you, he's not coming back, right? If Buster waits 2 months for a shipment from somebody, why would he go back? Once you burned him once, he's not coming back. He's going to come to me or someone like me.
Yeah, those first impressions are everything. And that is definitely true in the card space also. And like the thing is, when I was, at your shop, like I'm sure, because the Zion, everything's had been going down in value since then. Maybe you lost a few dollars on, a couple of the things that I bought, and I lost a few dollars after that. But the fact that it was such a great, transaction, it was fun. I'm going to keep buying everything, not just because I want to support you and you guys, but because it was flawless and things like that. So obviously that's super important. I want to ask, what are your thoughts on some of these platforms that are buying lots of cards and then either selling shares in them or are, calling it a bigger investment opportunity and asking for lots of money for a stake in the entire thing?
Sure. So the fractional ownership is very interesting. The only company that I like or truly follow is called Rally Road. There's going to be other competitors. There's already one pretty big one that's coming out. But Rally Road, they just raised another $17 million. Like they are the one when it comes to the space. However, they started off in the car space. You would buy pieces of a rare Ferrari or a rare McLaren, for example. They didn't do a full pivot. They just added on sports cards, comic books, and other features and watches. I like their concept a lot. It's hard for other competitors to come out and do it at a real scale without a lot of money. One, they got to buy the product and make a good situation. 2, they got to build a brand and make people feel comfortable. 3, there's a lot of legal requirements when it comes to regulation when you're taking on investment. Whenever you buy fractional shares from Rally Road, you're docu-signing a legal investment every single time. So there's a lot that goes into that. Just the legal alone is very expensive. I think it's a very interesting concept. Like, let's say you invested into the 86 Fleer Michael Jordan card they did, everybody made money. You invested into the Pokemon box that they did a few months ago, everybody made money, right? That concept is very interesting, that you and I, Dan and Buster, are not going to go buy a $250,000 Pokemon box, right? I'd like to, but I don't want to lock up that much money. Even though I believe in it, I'm not going to put up $250,000 for one individual box. Buster's not going to put up $125K to match me to buy the box. But Buster and I might put up $2,000 each, $5,000 each, or $1,000 each, right? And so we can still make the same bet with an amount that's relative to us. So an amount that we feel comfortable. So if Buster feels comfortable with $5K, I feel comfortable with $1K. He's 5 times more either richer or more comfortable or willing to gamble more because he likes it, great. We can take our bets based on what we feel comfortable or our relative net worth for investing. And so I like the fractional share concept because we can bet on Jordan, Pokemon, the #1 Batman comic book, etc., without trying to or have any way to afford these very expensive 5 and 6 figure type of pieces of content. Now, on the other side is hedge funds and traditional funds and investment funds that are popping up. There are few people that can do this properly. What I mean by that is a traditional hedge fund manager could take in 50 million bucks, 100 million bucks and go invest into sports cards. And they might win, and they probably will win if they do it sticking to a core concept, meaning if I were to do one, I've had a bunch of discussions about doing one, I would go buy Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Honus Wagner, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, people that you can name, right? Household names, buy their rookie cards, and then put them in a safety deposit box and wait. And I'm probably going to win and make money for the people that invested into my fund, right? They could give me 50 million bucks. I can deploy 50 million bucks. I'm probably going to be right. Can it crash? Absolutely. Over the long term, will it win? Probably, if you stick to those core principles. However, a true expert in the space, being a partner in the fund, for example, Jason Kuntz and Josh Luber from StockX, they have a sports card fund. They're not allowed to go market it, so I'm going to talk about them. You have experts in the space. Josh has co-founded StockX, and he's been in that space, but he also has got millions and millions of dollars of cards over the years and wax. Jason Kuntz is one of the forefathers in the sports card game, OTS Sports. He's buying cards for lots and lots of us in all these different group chats. He's buying it for celebrities and athletes and business people. So his buying capability and his expertise is more interesting and more important, meaning anybody can go buy a Michael Jordan rookie card, right? But Buster and I might pay $128,000 for it. Jason might get it for 112 or 108 because he knows a guy who knows a guy, or he knows a deal who knows a deal.
Relationships, yeah.
So when Jason's in the game for 20 years and he can go buy 86 Fleer boxes for 100K when we're paying, Buster and Dan are buying it for 124, and then he's buying the rookie cards for 104,000 instead of 120. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you compile that over the scale of $50 million, if you can save 20%, you save $10 million. So his expertise, right?
It's not too shabby at all. Yeah, that is pretty incredible. That's an interesting take. A lot of people like to have their stuff in hand. Yeah. And I think that's where any skepticism does come in. But obviously there are a hell of a lot of people who don't. And, there is like your experience from before. I've had this experience too, where sometimes there is a benefit not to have it in your house or in hand.
I have 0 cards in my house now, not one.
That is a very beautiful thing.
I had to, because otherwise I know myself. I'm going to gamble. So if I just kept my Jordans and Kobe's here, I'm going to buy LeBron too. If I just keep my Lucas here, well, I got to get John Morant and Zion, right? Like, I know I would go down the rabbit hole.
Be lonely.
Exactly.
That's amazing. What was the first card you bought when you really got into it? Like the first big card you bought?
I bought a lot of Lucas. I bought I think it was 50 or 60 in one shot. And then I did buy a bunch of wax, like a 6-figure order of wax all at the same time. And I started ripping a bunch of it open, but I remember buying a ton of wax, and that lot of Luka was one of the first things that I bought. I think it was 50 or 60 of them.
You mentioned you ripped a bunch of it. What's the best card you ever pulled?
Yeah, so funny story. Jason Kuntz, he lives in Michigan, right? He happened to be in LA, and he's at my place, and I had all this wax along the wall, and it was all sealed. And he was like, I don't know how you have the willpower to keep it all sealed, right? And I was buying 2019, 2020 Prism hobby boxes for $375. Now it's $2,700 to $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily I kept a bunch of it. He walks in and he was like, hey, let's open one box. I said, okay, you can pick whatever box you want. I don't want to rip anything, because I haven't ripped anything in a month. I want to stick to I'm going to hold this stuff. So he picks a box, and it's National Treasures. And and he reaches inside and he pulls out this Luca.
No.
And he starts shaking. And this is a guy that's seen every card in the mat. He's like, holy shit, Dan, you don't even know what this is. Like, what the hell? We take a picture, we send it to Gary and the whole group chat. They're like, oh my God, what? That card's worth like $30,000. Holy, they're going nuts. We opened one box with 4 cards in it, or 10 cards in it. And it was just, he hits this card. And I was like, dude, take it with you. I don't know. Like, let's just sell it. I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff. Anyways, he takes it with him, and we ended up selling it for $35,000.
Whoa! It was a Luca RPA, right?
Yeah, I still have the screenshot. I'll send you the screenshot of it. It sold it for $35K.
Yeah, we'll include it in the video. Wow, that is very thrilling. Yeah, that's crazy, and that's also one of the great things that those group chats are for. You know, being able to drop in those crazy moments. Although, you know, you mentioned, you know, loving gambling. All of us do, especially when it comes to cards. I know Alexis Ohanian has referred to, you know, sports cards as, you know, one of the closest things to drugs, and it's undeniable. But ripping wax inherently is a really, really poor investment, is it not?
Yeah, you're stone cold gambling. You're either going to, let's say you spend $500. You're either going to get back $50 to $200. You're going to break even. You're going to hit a 1 or 2K type card, or your shot at glory is you hit a $5,000, $10,000 card, right? So effectively, you're gambling. The biggest difference is you're going to physically get stuff. Meaning, if I take the $500 and I go to the Bellagio, when I lose, I go down to 0 and I walk out with nothing. I have nothing to show for it, and I had that short moment in time. I have no more feeling when I leave that casino. That's it. It's over. With the $500 I buy, and I'm breaking, when I get that shipment or that package of those cards, even if most of them suck, I still have something, and I'll usually have something, one or two things that's okay. And so I think that's a big difference here to consider compared to traditional gambling, is that you're going to have to hit it big. The difference is, and what people get carried away with, is the relativity of a box to compare to what they can get, right? When people are ripping national treasures, those are $4,500 boxes. I mean, that's a very big gamble. Even when you split it 4 ways, it's $1,100 each, right? And so split it 10 ways, it's still expensive. It's still $450 each, 10 ways. It's expensive. You are stone cold gambling because some national treasures completely suck, right? So you're gambling. When you hit it, sometimes you're only getting a 4 to 10K card on a $4,500 gamble. What people are really gambling for is there are 50K, 100K, the logo man, you know, the Zion logo man that's supposedly $500,000 or $700,000. Like, that's gambling. The main difference is when you're gambling that $4,500, however you split it up, you are going to get something, and those cards could have value later, and that's what gives us hope. And so as sports card gamblers or sports card investors, that's the hope factor. On a traditional investment scale, any one box you can crush it on over the course of a bunch of boxes, it's tough because you really need the big winners. Just like angel investing, you need the big winners to make up for those losers.
A great example that I can give would be, I was, you know, ripping a bunch of Prism basketball retail when it was $300, $400, $500 a box, right? From this year.
Yep.
And I got a lot of bulls in that box. I thought I had lost on the boxes.
Right.
All of a sudden, bulls going for $50 a pop.
Right.
I dig in my like trash bin. I mean, you know, like the box of cards that you don't care about. Some of them you put in sleeves, some of them you just leave raw because it doesn't make a difference.
Right.
Always sleeve up your cards, everybody, by the way. Always got to do it. But I go back in there and I just sold $200 of bull when it was popping. And that is a testament to your point. And that happens over and over and over and over again. Just the big thing there is you got to know when to sell.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to ask you this. If you were, you know, the god of the sports card industry and the card market in general, which some could make a point that you are close to that already. If you could change one thing about the hobby or eliminate one thing, add one thing at scale, like whether it be no scammers, no fake cards, anything, like a 0% fee on transactions, like something that you could trust. What are you adding with that magical finger?
Same day card grading.
Whoa, that's dangerous. That's explain. I want to hear why.
Meaning, if we got our cards back right away, and so a company like PSA or BGS, et cetera, scaled and had like 500 graders or 1,000 graders, and they could actually handle the influx. PSA is an amazing company, but there are millions of cards that are coming in, and there's going to be a lot more coming in because we're all opening up our collections as we get into the hobby. So the numbers are going to keep scaling with them. At some point, if someone like PSA, because they're the market leader, if they had 1,000 graders, for example, and there was no delay, I think the whole card industry improves dramatically because there's so much emotion and so many business people and hobbyists and people that have their cards in their closet or in their garage that aren't getting their cards graded because it's too confusing. That's why people do submissions. We're doing thousands of card submissions every week because it's hard. There's a lot of paperwork and you got to get it right and know the exact card and what the value is going to be and how to ship it in and how do you wrap it, what do you put in the case. It's a lot for most people. Even people that are in the game, by the way,
I hate doing it.
Yeah, I don't do it. Like I have a team doing it because it's complicated. Making that not complicated and not have the reaction that we're having about like the process and like waiting for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months or longer to get cards because we lose the emotional part of it. And I firmly believe that if it was easy, like you could walk into your local card shop and get it graded, or you could FedEx it to PSA and then the next day or even a week it was done, that would be my one if I had a magic wand.
To play devil's advocate to that though, and I'm curious your thoughts on how that would affect population. Do you think it would be a good thing or bad, or it would just bring so many new people and so much new money into it that everything would be great?
So ultimately the population reports the majority of people that are going to get cards graded, we're going to get them graded or are going to get them graded, even if it takes a long time. Mm-hmm. So will it add 10 or 20 or 30% more cards? Yes, it will. But predominantly, it's not going to be for cards that matter. Out of all the stories and the thousands of messages I get them all the time about, I've got this collection, that collection, this garage, that garage. I have still yet to see somebody pull out a Honus Wagner or a Mickey Mantle. Like it's not like they're pulling out 86 Fleer, 5 86 Fleer Jordans to mess up the population, right?
Right.
So I believe that the majority of the important cards have been graded or will be graded. And a lot of other cards, people have passed away or they've thrown them away and the population won't change that much for that. Modern cards would change dramatically. However, that's part of the game. And, if we go from 12,000 Zions to 17,000 Zions, it sounds like a lot because you're like, wait, that's a 50% increase. Think about the overall market. At some point, just like Bitcoin, I've been saying the same thing about Bitcoin since 2014. As it becomes mainstream and easy to use, the biggest turning point for Bitcoin was PayPal. A month ago, once PayPal said we're integrating it, $10,000 to $18,000 like that, because you finally have the biggest company in the world that we all said once somebody like PayPal utilizes it, it makes it mainstream and easy. Same concept applies here. If it becomes mainstream and easy to get into the game, you're going to have so many more people that even if Zion has 17,000 compared to 12,000, you're talking about 5,000 cards. What does that matter if we get a new million people into the game?
It's all about supply and demand. It's so funny that you said that about Bitcoin too, because I heard it at the time. I bought Bitcoin and then I forgot about it and I sold it. I did all right. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, I remember hearing that and having the same response you did, except with my dyslexic ADHD, dumb self. I forget things like that. That's why I need somebody to remember things on my behalf. But no, it really is all, that supply and demand. There was a point in time in 2014 when I first got into it. I was 14 at the time, and I remember an Andrew Wiggins rookie autograph being more expensive than a Michael Jordan autograph.
It's all the market dictates, right? The market dictates how much a card is worth because it's worth what people will pay for it. And the market dictates what cards matter. Like you might love, like I love the Michael Jordan Nike promo card, the really huge one.
Mm-hmm.
I love that card. Very small supply. The card did skyrocket for like a couple month period because we all started talking about it. We all got excited, and a lot of us all bought it because we all just wanted it because it's just a big cool card. Didn't change the market as far as what they determine is the rookie card. It's still the 1986 Fleer, right? I have the Jordan card is 1985. That's not his rookie card. It's a big Nike promo card. In 1986, there are other Jordan cards. In 1996 for Kobe, there's lots and lots of Kobe rookie cards. A lot of them, right? But everybody wants the Topps Chrome. And so the market dictates whether it's Andrew Wiggins versus Michael Jordan. It dictates what the card is, like what the card, meaning which rookie card matters, and how much is it worth? Because it's only worth what we'll willing to pay for it.
Right. But in that case, can we at least acknowledge, like, what was the best case scenario for Andrew Wiggins? That he's greater than Michael Jordan?
No. In that same example, Andrew Wiggins, if they tore off all the letters and the card was just A and that guy's face on it, and that became the one of one, that card now becomes worth $1 million because of the rarity, and it doesn't matter about the player or his success. And so the market dictates what is that card worth and why. And a lot of times there's been amazing players that aren't worth crap. You got guys like John Stockton, whoop-de-doo. The guy's a legend, right? Who shoots threes like him from back then? It was amazing.
Yeah.
Have you heard anybody mention John Stockton? Like, we don't talk about it.
No, you can get his autograph for $30-$40 on eBay.
Exactly. And so it's not always quantified by their greatness.
Totally. If you were 7 years old today, with your mind today, and you had $1,000 to spend, how are you splitting that up between Pokemon, between basketball cards, football, vintage, wrestling? How are you breaking it up? Are you going raw? Are you going graded? Are you going Facebook Marketplace? Are you going eBay? What is 7-year-old Dan doing?
7-year-old Dan, and I have how much? I have $1,000.
$1,000. It's a lot of money.
I'm rich. Jesus.
It's a lot of money for a 7-year-old. Knowing you just throw it into Zoom and triple it.
I'm buying the things that I like, in the sense that if I like Pokemon and I'm 7 years old, I've got to buy $250 of Pokemon, because if that's what I'm into at the time. I like splitting it up for diversified risk, even if I'm 7. I like having the taste. I want to taste basketball. I want to taste football. I want to taste soccer. So I'm getting my Mbappe card. I'm getting my Luka card. Like, I like to have my shots at glory. And then the thing that I believe in, like if I would just believe Pokemon's going to be the thing, then 250 is going to go into Pokemon. 250 is going to go into soccer. If I don't like baseball because baseball is boring, or if I love baseball, like I'm picking the sports that I like, and I'm going to split it up 4 ways or 5 ways of like that 200, 250 each.
Interesting. What the hell happened with soccer, by the way? And are you worried about similar things happening with other markets? I know Pokemon's in a little dip right now, but does that say anything to you, or is it all just dumb when we should be only caring about the long game?
Yeah, so obviously for like the last couple months, our 4 group chats went crazy and quiet and excited and sad and mad and happy because the market dipped. Throughout that entire time, I didn't flinch. I was arguing with my dear friends, arguing with them, yelling at them, explaining long-term investing to them. Like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google, Netflix, their stocks go down too. But I know that I want to own them over time, right? And so I've heard this saying before where somebody said, there's going to be dips up and down, but I know in 5 or 10 years, I want to own that company, whether it's Amazon, Google, Netflix, etc. That's the same way I feel about Luka. Like, he's going to have dips. He might break his ankle. He might do great. He might have a big situation happen. Things are going to happen along the way. But over time, I think Luka's a generational player. I think he's one of those guys that's going to go down as a great. If I'm wrong, it can go down. If I'm right, you're talking about something going from, forget the $70 to $1,400 like it did. That card to me, long-term, is $5,000 or $10,000. And so I'm looking at the way I would look at a stock. Along the way, Tesla, their stock went like this. Bitcoin went to 20,000, back down to 3,000. I didn't flinch. I bought Bitcoin. I know long term, I've always said the same thing. Long term, I want to own Bitcoin. And so I don't care about the ups and downs. That's not investing to me. That's day trading. I don't day trade. I've never day traded a stock, never day traded a card. I don't buy a card for $400 to sell it for 500. If I buy John Morant for 400, it's because I believe in John Morant is going to be one of the greats. And you see what I'm saying? And so there's going to be fluctuations. We might have a full-fledged crash. Who knows? Like Pokemon might have a downhill and then have a big spike because it's 25th anniversary. And then for year 26, might go quiet completely. But do I believe that Pokemon will be worth more money on year 30 or 40 or 50? Yes. So I stick to the long-term investing throughout this entire process because nobody can time the market perfectly. Nobody. Day traders get ripped to shreds by the real big guys. The real big market movers, they know if Zoom's going to go from 130 to 133 and back down. They're in the game when they got hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to play with to do it. Johnny on his laptop is not going to out day trade those people there. The same thing in cards. And so I don't try to time the market. I just buy and buy and buy, knowing that over time it's going to go up. And not when I say knowing, in my belief in my heart, right? And then add in some brain with the belief in the heart. However, if along that time there are situations that I could sell and buy, meaning the card went up too much, right? Giannis card went up too much. It shouldn't have been $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 because it happened too fast. In those scenarios, I would sell them all and either time it to buy back in or just sell them all and just know I'm going to buy back in no matter what, if that makes sense. That maybe I don't sell them all at 7,000, not knowing it's going to go down to 3 or 4 because I don't want to say I knew. I would just thought it was too high at that time and that it was too big a spike, so I did sell them. And I bought back in. And I would buy back in at 4,000, I'd buy back in at 7, I'd buy back in at 10, just like Bitcoin. Meaning if something happens too much, sometimes you still sell and buy in between, not necessarily because you think you're a genius timing the market, because some things become too overvalued.
Now, one of my last questions here is, how much of an impact do you think celebrities and, people with social media followings do have on the card market? Obviously, we can name a million specific instances where somebody shouts out this rookie and his card spikes 3x in a night. That's obvious. But in the grand scheme of things, how much of an impact do we think, the Aokis of the world have?
It's humongous because it brings in old and new people. And so as people come in to the market, they want to buy things that are finite, in a sense that people that are jumping in the market because they see Steve Aoki as the example, they might be from Japan, from Honduras, from Belize, from America, and everywhere in between. As they come in, they're not buying Andrew Wiggins' card from 1990 something, right? They're buying Kobe, Jordan, LeBron, Luka, Zion, Ja, RJ Barrett, Rui. They're buying main characters of the sport. They jump into soccer, they're buying Mbappe, Ronaldo, etc., right? And so as that happens, it rises everybody because the people that sold them, that made money, are usually going to reinvest into the market. And so just bringing in a lot of new money and not a lot of money going out. So what I mean by that is all these people are coming into the market because Aoki posts about it and now millions of people are seeing it. As they step into the market, they buy cars from Buster. Buster doesn't go buy a Lamborghini. Buster goes and buys more LeBrons.
100%. And the cool thing about cards as opposed to cars is that when you take your card, your brand new card out of Dan Fleischman's shop, it does not lose 30% of its value upon exiting the door. My last question for you, what are you most excited about? This doesn't even have to be card related. What are you most excited about right now at the end of 2020, apart from just the year 2020 ending? What are you most excited about?
So I'm actually excited for the card market in December because of the perfect storm of what's happening. Politics are mostly over, right? There's still some yelling, but it's not much. It's pretty much over.
Yeah.
The vaccine is here, and there's multiple of them. Whether we're all going to take them or not, it gives hope to people. the NBA season starts December 22nd, meaning preseason and NBA drafts and all these things are happening right now. I love that. And it's the holidays. And so you put this perfect storm of like politics got quiet. Corona is going to get quieter because of the vaccine. Holidays are here, and then NBA pops up. I mean, it's just the perfect storm of after this downhill spiral. We saw obviously an 18% increase in this last week. So you can start to already feel a little bit of it. Not the way you're going to feel it from Cyber Monday, right after Black Friday, to New Year's Eve. That time is going to be so much fun for the card market because all these things are happening at the same time. So I'm really excited. That's why we're setting up such an operation at the Coffee Breakers, because it is going to be so much fun for everybody involved.
Man, Dan, you never disappoint. I appreciate you so much coming on. You're the best. Everybody, follow this man at Dan Fleischmann and follow the Coffee Breakers on Instagram and all social platforms. Check them out, enter a break, see what's going on for yourself. We'll see you all on the next one. Dan, thank you again.
Thank you.